feels important to start documenting and video documenting some of my experiences that are coming to light and unfolding as I engage in a more like concentrated way on my personal involvement with kind of SSP and abductions and MILAB, that kind of thing. Because I'm now actively seeking help and guidance from someone who's been through the programs and who's come out publicly recently, well, in the past maybe 1 to 2 years, who I've just discovered recently. And as soon as I heard her share her testimony and I felt her energy and I listened to her experiences and the effect it had on me, I just immediately knew I had to work with her. It was like capital letters, yes, like in front of my face. I haven't had quite such a strong sense of that for ages. In fact, when I think about it, I've not had a one-to-one with anyone in a healing capacity or like for spiritual way for over 20 years. I would say that's a long time given how much spiritual and healing work I've been doing in that period. It's been epic, frankly. But my being seems to be ready now to tackle and face this aspect of myself and my story and what is still largely unconscious, but it's a funny one because it's like the more I hear about people's journey and experiences and memories with involvement in different covert programs and things, the more it helps me make sense of the oddness of my life and the oddness in my family unit. And yeah, it's obviously not easy to face, but since Tony came out, Tony Rodrigues came out in 2022, maybe, that was the first real massive domino for me falling with realising that that's something I could relate to. And if ever I'd come across anybody sharing that stuff before then, I couldn't connect with it. It didn't really do it for me. It seemed like someone else's story, really quite far removed from my life. But something about Tony's being and Tony's story and his energy, something about it just got through to me, and the timing must have been right for me as well. But I've processed a huge amount of the trauma of waking up to these types of things over the past few years. Processed a huge amount of it actually, and a lot of memories have started coming through. But I want, and I'm ready for more clarity. And it seems as though along has come a being who can help me with that. So I've booked some sessions in with her. I've got my first one in 2 or 3 weeks. 3 weeks? And yeah, it's already been a bit of a challenge trying to book, to get that booked. There's been interference and energies and beings trying to sway me off course and dissuade me from doing it, and trying to get my attention, to divert my attention off in different directions. But like, I know the games. I'm getting much more much more apt with practice at distinguishing what's a distraction energy and what is a natural, true energy. And just as I've said that there, so the woman I am going to be working with, she talks about greys tricking her and convincing her that the greys were her family and that they needed to, she needed to stay with them and do things with them, you know. And she fully became aware of that, and she was like, no, that's absolutely not true. You're not my real family, you know. It's a joke, it's a fraud, it's a lie. And that is something I'm becoming more acutely aware of too. So, like, I was just walking up the street the other day to go to the shops just to get some food, a supermarket nearby, and I'm walking up the street and like above me this energetic, it's like, I guess it's a portal, it's like it's looked like clouds parting. Something just opened up in the sky above me, and there were people there, kind of like military style people, and they were all like in a group, and they were like, oh come on, we've got some really important work for you to do, come on, you know. They were like just kind of like trying to get my attention and to get me to agree to go with them and be involved in whatever that was. And I just looked up at it, and I was like, the question that came to me was, are you my real family? And I asked them that. I said, are you my real family? And the portal thing just like closed up. It closed up and went away. And I was like, there you go. And I've had this force constantly in my life trying to steer me in a direction that's not really me. It's got an agenda. It's a militaristic ideological agenda. It's quite strong in my like family unit, and it's an off-planet thing. And just that question, are you my real family? It was interesting how effective that was, you know, because they didn't lie. They didn't try and go, yeah, we are, you know, come with us. They just kind of stopped what they were doing and went away in that moment. It was quite telling. And I've never asked that kind of question before. But I have been learning to, if I have weird multidimensional experiences like that, whether I'm kind of semi-asleep or awake, I do check in with my heart and see how it feels in my heart. And if something feels off, it feels off for a reason, you know. That's one of my big learnings at the moment, because I've had a few experiences like that in recent months of kind of mimic energies coming along and trying to get me to go with them. Like imposter energies trying to see if they can get me to go with them. And it's just one of the other times that happened at night, I had, how would I describe it? Well, I was in bed at night, and I like to do energy work in bed at night with my being, you know, setting my intentions and clearing my energy and bringing light through and creating a kind of space for myself to rest in, and an intention for the night. And I was in the middle of doing that, and then along comes this energy. It was like a cloud. Maybe there's a thing, maybe that's a theme. It was a cloud came along into my awareness, but it had like rainbow light with it. And it was telling me that it was the USC, the United Space Council, or Universal Space Council. It told me it was the USC, and I was like, right, because I'd been engaging with the USC recently. It was a period when that awareness of that had recently come into my life, right? And along it comes, and it's like we're the USC, and then I feel it starting to draw me out my body, energetically, draw me out my body, almost like in a beam of light. Draw me out my body and draw me away from Wilson, who's right there. Draw me up and away. And I'm just like, hang on, that's not something the benevolent star family of the Universal Space Council would do, right? Thankfully I was conscious enough to be like, after a very short amount of time, I was like, no, this does not feel good to me. It does not feel good. And I said, no. And I was like, put me down. I'm staying exactly where I am. I'm staying on Earth. And I also said, you know, I'm staying on Earth with Wilson, no matter how dark it gets. No matter how dark it gets, I'm not going to be lured away by some fancy fake rainbow imposter mimic of natural love and natural light. And again, it was like a fake star family. It was a fake version of star family trying to steer me, siphon off my energy and separate me from Wilson. Now, it's something this force does a lot. It does not want me and Wilson to be together. It has constantly been trying to separate us and keep us apart and keep us at odds with each other. We've had a lot of bother with it. We've had a lot of bother with that. But in that moment, thankfully, yeah, I was able to be like, this doesn't feel right. This feels weird. And it's trying to suck me out my life. It's trying to suck me out my life on Earth. It's like, what the F is that? It's not a good thing. That is not a good thing. So that was another strange experience in the past few months with this kind of, I don't know exactly where it comes from, but it's like an empire, false light empire, that I obviously have agreements and arrangements with, but I'm coming out of it. I've been really stepping away from that involvement this past year. It's been massive, and I've had to do it consistently in so many different ways, to like extract myself from those relationships. And yep, a lot has come to light over the past year while I've been doing that. I've really gotten to see a lot of its behaviours and characteristics. I still don't know exactly who it is, and that's what I really want. I really want to know. I'd love to know which groups I've got contracts with that I'm changing, and I really want to know and just demystify it more. I know that horrible things have been happening in my relationship with these beings, and waking up to this stuff is like a double-edged sword, because yeah, it's horrible, and it's disturbing, and it's a very heavy emotional, really heavy emotional energy, and really deep terror. And I know I'm just touching the surface as well, but so you've got this kind of side of it, but then the other side of that sword is relief, kind of feeling of relief, and like a kind of liberation that just hasn't felt possible, because it's been so mysterious and so unknown and so like suppressed. And you're like, with the whole mind wipe technology, it's all about suppression and secrecy, and we're not meant to remember. We're not meant to now reverse the view. We're not meant to now be able to open our eyes and look back, look this stuff in the eye and go, no, I see you. I see you, and I know who I am, and I'm not playing this game anymore. The contracts are done. You know? There's a good feeling in that. There's a good empowering feeling in that, but you do have to face the horrendousness of it and process that to get to the empowerment. So yeah, I've got Erica's book. And it's not exactly the easiest read, but I read a little bit most days, and it's touching some really deep stuff in me. It's really uncomfortable, but it just shows me that there's something really there in me that knows this stuff. It knows this stuff from childhood and from adulthood. It's just becoming more real and real every day that I've been abducted multiple times, that I've been involved in various different covert programs with ETs and the military, and that it's a family thing, and it's heartbreaking, to be honest, but oh wow, that's high winds. It's heartbreaking, but it's time for it to no longer just be this underground kind of heartbreaking experience that you just carry around without knowledge of what or where that comes from. A lot of the memories that are coming up for me, I actually just presumed they were past life experiences, because I didn't have the context of like exopolitical space, and I wasn't aware of that until 3 or 4 years ago. I was kind of repelled by the exopolitical stuff for a long time, and it makes sense to me now why that is, because it's also part of the programming they put in there so that you won't find out the answers. So it's actually something you're repelled by and you don't want to know more about. So I've had to work through a lot of my resistance about even engaging with exopolitics. And I got really upset with Wilson when he was deep diving exopolitics a few years ago, because I just felt like I was being dragged into this arena that I totally wasn't prepared to process and experience. It was tough. I found that really tough, because he was looking at it every day, and I just found it so triggering, because if he's looking at it, it's influencing both of us. And same with what I look at, but just for this, yeah, it was him. He was like, he began looking at Exopolitics every day, and I was just like so disturbed, and I wasn't even looking at it myself. It was just secondhand through him. So it took a bit of work for me to even be able to face sitting through a whole hour of like Michael Sala talking to any of the guests that he talks to about this alien contact, and all the weird and wonderful topics that get discussed there. It took me a while. There was definite barriers to even just being able to receive that kind of information. But we obviously got there, and like I said, it was Tony's. For me, it was Tony's testimony and sharing that helped make it more human for me. I could relate to him, I could relate to what he was saying, and it just didn't seem so foreign. And you know, yeah, his book is also incredible, his first book. I just read that so fast when that arrived. And this coming round now with Erica, it's the same kind of experience I'm having as when I had with Tony. It's like having a really profound effect, and in a different way her book is having a profound effect. It's yeah, I don't 22 minutes. In some ways I feel like I haven't really said a lot there. But I've said something, so this is my first one. And I will continue to speak the truth about my own abduction experiences as I remember them over this time period. I've booked 3 sessions with Erica. It's going to be epic. I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions, and I believe she's going to be able to give me information that's going to be so helpful in me making more peace with all this. I'm already in a place where I'm not in a place of blame as much. It's just you can't really have closure with things if you don't know what they are, right? It's all still a bit too vague. It's really annoying because it's so deep and so intense, and it's effed my life up so much. And I would like to be able to put names to it and locations and recall details of programs and piece all my fragmented memories together more. Because I have memories of kind of piloting craft, and I have memories of being an assassin and a long distance sniper kind of thing. It's so bizarre. It's like, why would I know and have an instinct for that? Couldn't be further from who I am, like in my natural human way. I've had memories of working in like admin, but like off-world admin with insectoids and TI, technical intelligence. All my different skills and abilities have absolutely been exploited and used, and yeah, just being terrified as a young child, just being absolutely terrified. And one of the things I've always found weird, but no one in my family seemed to find it that weird, but I always found it weird, was when I was maybe 2 or 3, like quite small. If I was either at home or at my granny's, and one of the uncles or men in the family came around and were at the door, you know, just like came to the house or whatever, I fucking shat myself. It didn't matter who it was. I was like, if men arrived in the house, I would just bolt off to like a room and shut the door and just hide. Hide, you know? Terrified of men as a 2 or 3 year old, and the men in my family, they didn't abuse me like that. It wasn't hands-on abuse I received, but I found it so triggering, and I always thought that was super weird for like 2 or 3 year old me to be so terrified of men. And again, I just chalked it up to past life, you know, traumas, rapes, etc., burned at the stake or whatever, you know. You just kind of try and make sense of something so deep as that with the available kind of and accepted awareness in that cultural narratives that we have, right? But now it's making a bit more sense to me, with the whole abduction thing and children being abused and terrified by ETs for different reasons, and having their awareness splintered, their consciousness fractured with traumas, and then being programmed in different ways. It's like, yeah, like I don't have the details of that, but that feels right on. That feels right on for like how fucking terrified I was as a child. Because my actual day-to-day life it was relatively peaceful. It didn't, I never understood how I was that fucking terrified, given what my daily life was like. So yeah, it's interdimensional meddling, interdimensional agreements, and the layers of that deep trauma are surfacing. They absolutely are surfacing. And I'm just trying to be compassionate with myself and realize I must be ready for this. I must be ready to really transmute and transform and alchemize more of this deep internal pain and all the programming that's gone along with it, which again I just kind of presumed was either religious programming or stuff from my parents and ancestors, which it is, but it's more than that too. So I want to know more about my involvement in these programs with my conscious awareness. And I would also quite like to know how I can access my memories more by myself. Yeah, I would like to know more about that too. So that's me for now. So this is real for me. It's very real for me, and I'm shedding layers of denial around it, and shedding layers of like disbelief and suppression that I've put on it myself. I've put on it myself as survival tactics and that, but like, I don't want to do that, and I can't do that anymore. So it's like facing it head on. Let's get to this. Let's get through the layers and get to what this has really been about.